may have to pick up the phone, but hopefully not.
That's dope if you do that. Seriously, that means you are that much in demand. All right, so the Unfiltered podcast, which is, first of all, they messed up and left me all by myself this week. I am all alone. And I said, cool, so let me go ahead and call up my namesake because we have the exact same name, last name, no relation. We still don't know. We may be cousins and then we don't know it, but we are.
Just claim it at this point.
Just like Brandon and everybody else, we are from where's our home city of?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska, and somehow we ended up in Texas. Thank God.
No, away from the cold.
Well, you really can't say that this year.
What? No, not this year. You're right.
Yeah, this year I got cussed out by a lot of people that thought we brought the cold down here with us, but no, we did not.
We had a winter for sure.
So, Unfiltered, normally we have conversations with entrepreneurs, not like-minded folks, and you are I would consider you a super entrepreneur. Because even though we knew of each other, I didn't know you. And then the way I discovered you was, hey, I need headshots for my business. I'm like, cool, headshots done. But what do you do? And then it went from what do you do to like, damn, what don't you do?
Yeah, it has escalated fast.
But that's what you want.
It is.
Okay, so I won't dive all the way into what you do, even though, so you're the reason why we always talk about this whole thing of me owning a trucking company, and even though I put it on pause or whatever, it was her fault. This is the reason why I was actually going to start a trucking company. But you teach people how to establish and utilize business credit.
Yes.
And then you own a trucking, hotshots, transportation, move shit everywhere type business.
Yes.
That's growing like crazy.
It is.
Literally, she has been on the phone moving and shaking, and she may answer the phone during the podcast, which I think would be dope because that means you actually got things going on.
All the time.
So I don't want to be typical and say, why did you do this? But I will say a young lady from the Midwest moves down here. Which one did you start first? Was it the business credit? Because you had to have that before you bought all your trucks, or did you start the truck? How did you come to this point?
So try to shorten the story up because it can't be
the abridged version. Okay, we'll take that.
Short story. My fiance had a dream to start a trucking company, and we were both working in transportation for the railroad. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm supportive. I'm the best hype woman I could be. So go ahead. Good idea. Do it. We purchased a truck February of 2019. I left the railroad and moved to Tennessee with him. Mm-hmm. He left the railroad and got another job locally so that he just wouldn't be working like 12-hour shifts 7 days a week. So the truck sat for about 6 months. We drove it here and there, but life happened. We just moved. We had bought a house. So much was going on. So the truck sat. We used it personally, and we're finally like, we've paid a truck note for 6 months on something that has been sitting in our driveway. And you ain't even
using it?
No, for business.
Been there, done that.
So I got introduced into like dispatching. I found how to dispatch a truck. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, this will be cool. I can work my job in Tennessee as a transportation coordinator, dispatch the truck, and he would go do his full-time job. So one day he comes home like, hey, I'm gonna quit my job and drive. I was like, okay, I don't think you can be gone that long. And he was like, no, you're going to come with me. So in the moment, I was like, wait a minute.
Time out, stop.
It happened so fast. And September, like probably 3 weeks later, the end of September, we both put in our 2 weeks. We got our operating authority October 11th of 2019. And we were on the road on the 20th.
No, were you already living here then?
No, we were in Tennessee still. And so we were in Tennessee. We got the truck and trailer. We were gone on the road. My parents ended up coming out with us to get started because my dad drives trucks for a living over 30 years. So they helped us. And then 3 weeks later, my fiance gets a job opportunity here in Texas that he couldn't pass up. Mm. So now I've quit my job. I got a business that I am brand new in. I'm dispatching 5 of the trucks at the time, and now I have to move to Texas in 3 weeks. And we're still on the road.
Go ahead.
So it just,
don't let me stop you.
it just, I tell people, like, it really is a blur of how we did it. Like, I really don't know how we got from Tennessee to Texas.
Would you say that the momentum, it's just momentum, sheer momentum, and you just kind of roll with it, it just develops. So was there any kind of reservation, or did you, because it takes different type of people to actually, I call it the leap of faith.
Yep.
To actually come and go. Was there any reservation? And it depends on how you're built.
It wasn't. And it wasn't because I had seen my parents like dibble and dabble into business before.
Right.
And so I knew you have to believe in God and trust and have faith that everything's gonna work out. And my fiance was very supportive and just had a vision. And so I knew he wouldn't fail us, was my mindset at the time.
Smart.
So I said, okay.
How much training in business, any educations, any degrees, anything, or is it just the experience that you had at the job positions that you've done?
It's the experience I had before.
So you were already in the transportation industry?
Yep, I worked at Union Pacific for 6.5 years, so railroading, and in that I did dispatching, customer service, billing, and my last position there was actually like transportation. I was coordinating the trucks to go into the ports to get loads from the trains. And so it really all kind of tied in together. Of course, at the time, I hated my job at UP. And of course, from Omaha, they think it's the best job in the world. Everybody thinks you'll retire from there.
It's cool, but it's not. Kellogg's is actually better, but we won't even go into that.
They think it's amazing. So, but it really did prepare me for where I am today.
So now, fast forward a little bit. So I didn't even realize it was that. I swear to God, you came to my crib and took those pictures in 2019, but I don't think we had just bought our house.
Yeah, but it's like 2020. Yeah.
Wow, like so much stuff is going on because I've even taken her. I signed up for her business credit course and done crazy. So now your mindset, because mindset is key, I think, to everything. So is anybody that's ever sat there? Do you think because of your fiance's actions, this is more would you be where you were if he hadn't come home and said, I'm quitting my job and I'm buying a truck? I mean, and I'm going to drive.
Nope.
So it's really a story of literally momentum. It's just like everything there. But now you've got some purpose. You know, I follow your social media, I look at everything. You have purpose. So trucking company, he's on the road, you're dispatching other people. Where did the business credit come into play? Is it something that you did and said?
He's actually on the road too. Mind you, he works a full-time job.
So he still has the good job that bring him here?
Yeah, he still has his good job.
Okay.
So it's me. Business credit came into place when we got to Texas in December or November 2019. We knew that, mind you, we was in uproar, didn't have a driver, but we knew we were going to grow the company in some kind of way. So once we got a driver, once I was learning more, I kind of took a step back from dispatching to focus on my one truck and my business to get it to where I needed to be. So in that time, I realized and figured out how to establish business credit, how to get vehicles in the business name, because I knew personally, it wasn't smart for what we wanted to do to go purchase a bunch of trucks in a personal name. So I had to figure out, how do I get this done in business credit? Because you see it done before, you hear about it, but not many people are actually doing it. Or doing it without using their social security number is the other thing. So I did that for about 5 months. I built our business credit from 0 to 50,000 in July of 2020. I was able to purchase a Jeep in my business name. In October, we sold the first truck we bought to the business. And then in January, we purchased another one in the business name.
Which I seen that new one. Is that the Ford or the Ram?
We have 2 new Fords.
That Ford is dope. I love it. So,
yeah.
What would you say then for people who are, because I know a lot of people that have LLCs, but it's treated more like a sole proprietorship. Yeah. So would you suggest that going the LLC, that's true separation from your personal and your business?
It's true separation when your tax classification is what really separates you.
So do you file, and we're getting a little technically and nerdy, but it's because I took the class. Do you file as an S Corp?
Yes.
Instead of an LLC?
Yes.
Because that structure is truly looked at
as a separate total entity, which having an LLC protects you too, because they can't just come after you totally. But taxes wise, you're still filing in the same.
You're not getting double taxed, because if your LLC is, you get hit twice.
Right.
Trust me, I know.
So you're getting taxed if it's your own income coming in too.
All right, so let's switch gears. This is Unfiltered, so it's time to be unfiltered. The trucking industry. Now, if you've never heard the term good old boy network,
yes,
we're about to educate y'all. Being a young black female, not even from Nebraska, it doesn't matter, but now you walk into certain rooms, you get certain phone calls. Do you get the side eye, or do they accept you for who you are because of your business savvy, your approach, your attitude? What is that water like? Because we do have women that listen to the podcast. Doesn't matter color or background, but these are some caveats that are real.
Yeah, it is. And it just depends on who I'm coming into contact with. Over the phone, it's hit or miss, because a lot of people will ask to speak to who owns the business.
Correct.
You're talking to that person.
And we're from the Midwest, so you kind of can fly, unless somebody pisses you off. I really can't tell.
It's really not.
I know she's a sister. Nah, you just kind of that mid-level. So.
Yeah. So the phone is not too bad, but at the same time, when there's calls that are escalated, if there's issues ahead of time, talking to males can be pretty difficult. And there has been a lot of times that it's a frustrating thing. I remember one time we had the kids in the car, and I'm on the phone going back and forth, and I had to get off the phone and, just explain to them, like, it's different because I'm a woman. Mm-hmm. I am the representation of our company, and they're used to speaking to males. They're used to dealing with men all the time. So dealing with a woman is like, you don't know nothing. This can't be your business. You don't know how to run it. Just so many different things you'll encounter. And just a couple weeks ago, we were on the road, and it was raining. We pulled into like this really tight industrial area. And I got out, and I'm like, hey, we're, delivering this load. And he's looking like, okay. So I'm like, okay, hello. Like, here's the paperwork. I need you to take this off my truck. Like, I'm not coming out here to have casual conversation with you.
Come get this shit and go.
Get it. I don't know who else you're looking for to be here, but come get it and move. And so me and him had kind of had an exchange of words, and he wanted to, they were trying to figure out how to get it off, and they wanted to slide it off. And I'm like, no, you can't just slide it off.
Destroy the trailer?
And mess up my trailer. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I need you to take down whatever wooden pieces you got up here and get your material off from there. But it can be difficult. Sometimes it's frustrating. There are times when I do have to escalate and have Nick get on the phone, my fiance, just because I can only go so far, and you're only going to take me so far too. So if I know that I'm not getting anywhere with you, and you possibly may need another man to tell you the same thing I said, okay, fine.
But then there's
the answer's not going to change either.
Right, but just because somebody else said it. But that's business, and heck, that's marriage.
Exactly.
Like my wife always says, I said the same thing to you last week, but if Brandon or somebody says it, now it's cool.
Now it's real.
It's all right.
Now you're listening to it.
It's cool. How about you just call him first and check? So I get it.
Then call me later.
I get it.
Yep.
But is that seldom? Is that not a lot? Because when I did research, when I was thinking about starting a trucking company, I see a lot of women.
It is. It's a lot more now.
Own trucking companies.
It really is. When I started in 2019, and I tell my clients this that I do the mentorship with for trucking, there weren't a lot of ladies that looked like me. There were not black women that I've seen. I've seen about 2 or 3 at that time 2 years ago. Now it's a huge difference. You
Texas,
can search for
Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, the South.
Big, yeah, and not
it's
even
huge.
just transportation, but not even just trucking. But there's women brokers. There's women owning, air freight. They're moving all different types.
Warehousing.
Of things. Warehousing
is huge.
Cross docks. There's so much opportunity out there. But yeah, it's a lot more now, which is it's beautiful to see because, again, they're so used to it being a male-dominated industry.
Do you think this is something that... So the reason why I didn't do it yet, I'm still going to do it, but my investor was like, look, I would rather feel more comfortable in something that you do 100%.
Yes.
Well, my love is my camera and what I do and my job here, go local and everything else. And my thought process was buy a truck and then I'll put somebody in it and run it and I can still go do all this great marketing and do all this other stuff. And he's like, I'm not really feeling giving you $100,000 for you to sometimes do something part-time. It's like, but is there a place in that industry do you think that somebody can, like the approach to do a part-time? Like my thinking was buy a truck or co-manage a truck. Maybe I just invest in one with somebody else. Or like even if it's, I bought half of a truck and your company managed it. Is there other ends to this industry?
You can do it so many different ways. There are industries, there are parts of trucking where you can actually buy a truck and just give it to a company, and then you collect a weekly check. There are industries or there are parts of where, like, I manage 3 other companies, and they're males who run their companies, but I do all their billing. I keep their paperwork in order. I do their driver compliance. So I make sure everything back office-wise is taken care of, and then they drive. But there's one guy who doesn't drive, and he works a full-time job, so he just does his own thing, and we handle all of the paperwork on the other side. So we communicate with the driver. Anything that's needed and he can't become in contact with, then they would contact us.
With COVID, I don't want to say we're on the other side of it. We're kind of getting there. But what are the changes? And you went right in, like when everything happened, though. But now that they're getting on the other side, what do you see from when you first started to now? Has that affected it? Has it ramped it up? Has it killed it? Is it the same? I mean, things got to move regardless.
Yeah, it has to move. And COVID did not stop us whatsoever. We were actually able to grow 6 figures with the 1 truck in 6 months. In the last 4 months, we're doing COVID. So.
Wow.
I mean, because trucks have to move things, whether it comes from air, whether it comes from a train, whether it comes from a container, it still has to move on a truck to where we're going, to where it's going. So when we came in, rates were crappy. It was bad. 2019, 2020 moved up.
And when you say rates as far as what people were paying per mile for you to move something,
yeah.
Okay.
But now 2020 was good. As we moved into 21, things have been great. But, of course, we don't know how long that's going to last either.
So, is there a plan B? What do you do in,
Yeah, you really just prepare for it. So you're really just making sure that all of your finances and everything are together, because rates can drop, and they can drop at any time. So as long as you're properly managing your company and making sure that, okay, if rates go back down, we can still withstand with what we got over here, we'll still be okay.
Is there anything that keeps you up at night? As far as your trucking company? Well, hell, is there anything that keeps you up at night? I'm just going to blanket it. I don't want to always be, doesn't have to be business specific. Okay.
It does. Some nights, my mind will just race. Because it's really a one-woman show. I've recently hired virtual assistants to assist me.
Okay.
In just the minor details of the business that I just don't have time to do anymore, especially when it comes to expanding. But there are some nights where it's like, okay, I have all of this to do tomorrow, or this day was really crappy, and I'm replaying everything that just happened. And especially now with 3 trucks on the road, it's like, okay, we got to get up, and tomorrow's a brand new day, so we never know what tomorrow's going to look like.
I'm going to knock on wood. One of my biggest fears is I always hear the horror story about the driver that just gets pissed off one day and leaves your shit on the side of the road. Hey, I'm in Cleveland. Your truck over here with the hazards on. I'm out. See y'all later.
Well, I had a similar situation.
So it did happen to you.
He didn't leave it on the side of the road, but he told me he was done. Long story short, he had just started. He was from Louisiana. So he drove to Texas, got the truck and trailer. We had an orientation the day before. He was all set to go. He got an oversized load from here to New Jersey. So with those, you have to go a specific route, specific speed. You can't drive, during certain times of the night. Well, he decides to go back home through Louisiana and not follow the permit instructions. So as he's leaving, he is in Arkansas, but he's in a construction area on a 2-lane highway.
Did he tear something up, or did DOT get him?
DOT got him. Got a fine for it. And he's like, I can't do this anymore. Okay, well, number one, I'm not paying a ticket because I told you not to go that way. That's something you decided to do. So he said he wasn't going to continue.
So it was a truck and trailer.
So I'm like, are you going to bring me my truck? And mind you, his vehicle is in our yard in Texas. So he's like, I think 5-6 hours away. So then it was like, but then we still have this load on the truck that has to get there by, I think, Thursday or Friday at the latest. So we're like, what the hell do we do at this point? And so we're using our resources and we're trying to find people and we're contacting, friends and other people in the industry. Hey, can you go move this really quick? We couldn't get an answer in time, so that same night, I booked a flight to Little Rock. My dad booked a flight to Little Rock from Omaha. We met him up there and we took it to New Jersey.
I wouldn't know how I would handle that once I got, like, with any words spoken, anything
I
said.
stayed away because I didn't want any words to be spoken.
Yeah.
So I was pissed. I would
have been too.
It was, and we had it was like the week before spring break, so we had family there. We were, relaxing, chilling.
Everything going on.
So I'm home now, like, whew, I'm gonna take a break. It's a breather, and then here this goes.
Well, so to explain to everybody too, what Britt and Nick do, they do what's called a hotshot. Mm-hmm. It's a dually pickup truck, big as hell, beautiful vehicle. It's not your semi truck like BJ and the Bear, Smokey and the Bandit. It's a dually pickup truck that you attach a fifth wheel to the back of it, a long trailer. And so the hotshots are like the Minutemen of the road. They are the ones that somebody can call you at the last minute.
Right, and then we can get into, it's really just what do I say? It's like a medium duty semi is what I call it.
Yeah, it is.
So we can get into smaller spaces. Mm-hmm. We can, again, be called a little bit quicker. But it's pretty much the same type of what I do. And I always tell my people, too, I'm not guaranteeing that I'm getting there any quicker than if you caught an 18-wheeler. Because you still got to abide by the rules of the road. So, and
you have to have a Class A CDL license because of the weight.
The weight, yes. Some people do run non-CDL, but I like to scale as much as possible.
Can't make no money.
No.
Gotta make some money.
And they do make money, but I don't want to have that restriction there.
Yeah.
So I don't want to not be able to scale over 10,000 pounds and maybe 32
But with
feet.
that comes that much more responsibility.
It does.
So we mentioned the thing DOT, which is Department of Transportation. Mm-hmm. So if you ever be on the road and you'll see the state troopers, not all state troopers are looking for you in your car. No. Their job is specifically to look for violation in the trucking industry. That's why you always see them pulling over trucks. Sometimes they're harassing. Sometimes you can have a mud flap loose.
You can.
And you don't know, or not have your books and It's scary that I know all this shit because I studied for literally, I got everything I need. All I got to do literally is just take my test to drive and I can legitimately be a trucking company right now. But everything in due time, I got to make sure, I was told the 10,000 hour rule. If you do something for 10,000 hours, they consider you a master. And with what I do for a living now, I don't think I was just putting my all into it. I just got, squirrel, trucks.
Yeah.
Looky.
That looks good.
And you pulled up to the crib in that Jeep. I was like, damn, that Jeep is wow. How did we get
here?
With all that said, the bees buzzing in the can, have you ever thought about anything else that wasn't trucking or finance or anything else? Do you have something else that you want to do for you that wouldn't feel like work?
I don't even know that wouldn't feel like work. Trucking is something that I feel like I can do in my sleep now. Mm-hmm. I talk about it as if, I have to stop myself sometimes because not everybody knows what I'm talking about.
That's why I went back and re-explained some of the things we talked about. So a lot
of times when I'm talking, I'm just blurting it out as if a person would know what they really don't understand.
Right.
So there are, I want to get it to a point to where it can semi-run itself, to where I don't have to do a lot of paperwork, invoicing.
It's a lot.
A lot of that. If I can get it to where, it's my goal for 2021, to get it to where I can have somebody next to me, beside me, who can understand it the way I do, then I'll go into real estate. But until then, I'm pretty much, and it's fine, because I know it's there and it's not going anywhere. But for now, it's just building this up to where they don't need me 24/7, or they're not calling me directly 24/7.
Literally, she was on the phone when I pushed play on and record on purpose. I'm like, look, she's working. And real estate is something that you do have two industries, and I didn't think about it, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so you naturally gravitate it because your dad has been doing this over 30 years. I didn't think about that.
And my mom had a CDL. She drove for the school buses for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years. So how did I get back into this?
And I've been a DJ all my life, but my uncles are all musicians, and my other uncle was a photographer, and I build train sets and I didn't think about I guess you don't think about how you really do it until you get into it. But now real estate, another you love professions that need a bunch of certifications. You like, because real estate is a monster right now. We've had a few people from real estate that work with our company that's been on this podcast, that's do everything. And I thought it was all bubblegums and rainbows because it's such a seller's market right now, but that's good. And I literally just had a conversation with my friend Lee, and it's like, it ain't all good on one side, because if you have a house that's ready to sell, you got buyers for it, and then somebody with deeper pocket comes in and outbids you, and they can only go so far. Like it's brutal out there right now.
It's crazy because we have a couple friends that just bought houses. I have a couple friends that are real estate agents, and it's almost ugly.
But it's a blessing too. I say, because
it's a seller's market. They're winning.
My crib back at home, I'm renting out, and they called me yesterday, and they was like, "Hey man, rates are low. We want to offer you a cash offer just to go ahead and buy the house." I had to put the phone on mute, and they didn't hear me screaming, dancing, and cartwheels and all this other stuff. And I got back on, like, well, let's talk about it. We're gonna. This is yours. You can take it because it's that time and jump while the jump.
Especially in Omaha too. I'm not as familiar with it here in Texas, but having family back home, my parents can sell their house almost for $90,000 more than what they bought it for.
Trust me when I say. My wife follows the numbers all the time, and for what's left on it and what we can get for it, you may see another Jeep out in the driveway next to you.
You might as well.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. Not going to do that. But that's good to aspire to. If you look at the end of it, I mean, and you're young too. You're young. I'm an old man around here. But if you look at it, it is pretty dope that. Do you think about legacy? Do you think about what you set up for the kids, how they look? Because now that you say it out loud, think about the legacy, or just the mindset that your parents put you in to do what you do. So are you more purposeful with what you do, what your kids see?
It is. And with me being home, they see it firsthand. So it's a lot of times to where I'm on the phone talking to somebody, and I'll get off and they're like, "Who was that? Was that a driver? Or was that," they'll say a name, like, "Was that?" Or, "Are we going to the yard today?" Like, we'll do inventory some days if we have everybody, the truck's there, and we'll go down there, we'll count through everything. They may be only present for about 30 minutes until they run off. But they're there and they know what's going on. So they're actually seeing a business being created from the ground up and knowing that, okay, wow, we really have something to look forward to. Now, whether they want to do trucking when they get older or not, that's on you. But you do understand, like, this is what we worked hard for so that you can have something else to rely on. So that you don't have to just think, I have to go to college to get this degree, and I have to spend thousands of dollars on student loans and come out of school and do nothing with it.
Everybody does that. I really know about 4 people out of 700 that are really working in the area of their degree. But so what do you do when you're not doing all this? Do you do anything in your free? Do you go to a movie? Do you go look at a rock? I mean, do you do something else that's not? I've never not seen you working. I did family photos for them, and she was still in work mode. Showed up in the truck. I'm like, so what y'all about to go do? Go pick up a load and we out. I'm like, do you take any downtime, or do you have the ability to at this stage?
It depends. Some days I have to pull myself away. And some days I have to be like, okay, you know what? I can do this from 9 to 1, and then maybe 1 to the rest of the evening is family. Or I say, hey, my cutoff time is this for the day. But not only, that doesn't always happen as smoothly as we would like it to. But there are days to where I'm like, and I had to establish that with Nick. Being on the road and being gone, we weren't with each other for 2.5 months.
Oh, wow.
I was home maybe 3 times, back and forth, maybe 4. I was flying back when I could. But I'm like, there's certain days that we have to just set boundaries to where we're not talking about business.
That's hard.
I may just want to sit here and look at a wall.
That's hard to do, but you got to recognize it.
But you have to, and I didn't really realize it until we were separated. And while we were gone, it felt like that was the only thing that was discussed. What we were doing today. What were we doing tomorrow?
Exactly.
What did this look like? Who did this? Who did that?
Brandon is trying to convince me, and I'm trying to convince my wife. He's actually in Mexico now, and that's where his wife is from. He says, don't go to the touristy stuff.
Yeah.
Go to a part of Mexico that looks like Mexico and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, bet, we're going to go to this place, Sayulita, I think it was. We're going to do this. Took it out, showed my wife the picture. She's like, Nah, that ain't touristy enough. I just don't. I think the cartel and COVID gonna kill us both. I'm like, no, it's chill. That's where he got married. She's like, yeah, but just I still have to wait for the approval for her job.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to slide it in. I got literally both vacations booked, but to go to an actual get lost in each other and not be worried about all this other touristy stuff and parasailing, but just to chill, to see the actual culture.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
And get a chance to know each other. And on top of that shit's like half the price of the touristy resort type resort thing. Like, yo, we got more money to get pesos to do whatever. But man, she just like, I gotta quit letting her watch Queen of the South and stuff, because she's like, no, we gonna get got. And I'm like, no, we're not. But we haven't had a true vacation because, as you know, my wife's an entrepreneur making custom blankets, this, that, all the stuff she does, plus a 9-to-5 job, plus 2 boys that are in full-time football. And I don't think we've gone out the country on a vacation since 2008.
So we haven't been on a vacation, just the 2 of us, since we started business.
And you need a break.
So that's why I was like, next month, like we're taking 4 days, and we're gone.
Just disappear.
I don't want to hear anything. Nope. I don't want to. But can you not take your cell phone? Or what are you gonna do with that? We were able to last year.
Okay.
So I will say some days are busier than others. So last year, twice actually, we went up to Broken Bow.
And I keep hearing about the cabins.
You have to go.
I keep hearing about.
Like seriously.
It's like that.
So we went a couple weeks after my grandmother passed last year, just to give my dad, a breather, and it was amazing. The kids loved it. We had like a 2-bedroom cabin. We didn't know what we were doing. We just drove up, surprised the kids and my parents.
And there's no TVs, there's no nothing or anything?
TVs. Yeah, there were TVs. They had Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So the kids had their iPads, but we were just really enjoying ourselves in the moment. And then we went back in July, and it was 30 of us. So we went, my cousins, my aunts, both of our sets of friends, their kids. It was probably the best trip I've been on. And I've been out of the country. You're
going to have to let me know where that is, because I think beautiful. That's what my family needs.
Because for the adults, we weren't really on our phones because our service was bad. Good. So they can connect to Wi-Fi. But even the kids, they ran around, they played, they made up stuff. It wasn't...
Back to like when we were children.
Yeah, it wasn't like this phone is attached to us the whole time. You really couldn't... If somebody had their phone, they were probably taking a picture. But other than that,
the kids made up stuff. I remember where like that tree is touchdown and this rock over here is touchdown, and then you run in between them and you build. Remember forts? Like that's one thing my kids do. They build forts and all that. See, it's the you don't have to go to Mexico to get away.
Nope, it's beautiful. You really have to go.
I'm actually look at that as an option. I got to do a beach. I got to do some water. But we haven't done our family vacation. We used to take a family and then just us.
And then they have a lake, so we went to the lake and the kids got to swim in the lake. They got to kayak. One of our cousins and aunts did like a boat ride. It's beautiful. Okay, and people here. The scenery is beautiful.
Is it? The people here go, see, I'm on.
And it's like 3 hours away, maybe.
That ain't nothing. It's up the street.
Yeah, it's quick.
See, that's why I love the podcast. I learn what you do, whatever. So to wrap it up, I will want to get all the information. So if anybody's interested into learning how to establish, manage, and utilize your business credit, you have an entire course from either the small thing or, as you taught me, to walk you all the way through the front door of buying your first truck, which is dope. I guess if you need something moved, we'll put all the information in the description. We can do all that, so that's easy. But I thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I was wishing your phone would have rang. I was looking at your watch like, is it going to ring? Is we going to get something in live? But she's on. I mean, literally, y'all, she walked in here with Louis on one hand, 17 folders, paperwork, phones. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
It's never ending. It's rewarding, though. It's rewarding to see, like, to look to where we are now from where I was or we were a couple years ago, and even last year. It's like, wow, this is something.
That's what you want, man. Progression. That's how you do it. Well, Miss Brittany McCain, thank you for hanging out on Unfiltered.
Thank you.
Until next time, y'all, I probably won't be by myself. They should know to never leave me in the house alone. You never know what'll happen. Actually, I think I will be by myself next week. I'm setting something up. I don't do bad. I don't do bad. All right, y'all, till next time. Peace out.